being here. Am I being booed? It's just like the holidays, right? We'll have a sign-in sheet at the end. I've got a QR code there. I didn't put it in Google Classroom just because it's been one of those busy days, but I'll share that with you. Please be sure and sign in before you leave. If anyone would love to buy a lovely poinsettia, they are $20 each. Goes to support the theater program. See Mr. Terrell if interested. Again, they're beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and jump in. We've got a lot on our agenda for today, but it'll go pretty fast. I've asked Ms. Lowe to begin by talking about the necessary conferences we have to hold for students with a 504 that have an F. So, Ms. Lowe, thank you for presenting about that.
All right, so I'm going to show you the form that we're going to use to hold our F conferences. We're not going to have a physical conference. I'm one person. I can't hold that many F conferences and successfully do it. So I'm going to trust you that you will prove and have proof and documentation to do this. And this form has to be filled out for each student that you have on your roster that has a 504 plan. So I filled it out so you can see what it looks like and what the expectation is. And I use myself as an example. So you're going to put the student's name on, their grade, what semester this is for. So we're in the fall, first semester. Your name, I used Mr. Jameson as my teacher, and I am failing Algebra 2, which would be possible when I was in school. So this is where we get to accommodations. So I've broken these down into the types of accommodations that are in place for C's. C's has over 100 accommodations, and Ladina Eads and I just cut through them and just went down to the ones that are really important. They break down into aids and technology. If you're familiar with your 504 plans, you'll know what it's asking you to do. So you apply what they're asking. And some people go above and beyond, so there may be some things that are not on here that you would apply. So for each section, you choose what you have done for that student, and then you give a brief explanation of what that is. So for example, under aids and technology, Mr. Jameson assigned me before and after school tutoring. So his justification or his explanation is Atera was behind on 5 assignments. I asked her to attend before or after school tutoring to help raise her grade and receive additional time. It does not have to be long, brief, short. The next section is going to be assignments and homework. So you'll see your options there. You click what you've done. Same thing, list a brief explanation of what you have done in order to meet those accommodations. Now, some of the accommodations are not going to go with your student and their 504 plan. So there's a section that has other, and you can just check that and put it's not applicable to the student. It doesn't work, it doesn't need. In the explanation, you'll put NA, and I did that for the rest of them. Now, there's a section at the bottom. If you have any additional comments or accommodations that you've provided that are not on that list, just list those there. So the final page, it's asking you for documentation of dates and times that you've tried to contact the parent and guardian. If you don't remember the time, it's not a big deal, but the date helps us know the range of time that you've been trying to reach that person. So I just gave you an example of, on 9/12, I called the mom, 10/11, parent-teacher conference conversation, 10/21, email mom and dad to update student hadn't made any changes and offered tutoring. And then on the 13th, I contacted parents again via email and voicemail. I think I said in the last faculty meeting, the more documentation I have, the better I can support you. If I don't have it, I can't really justify. So if you have actual copies, and several of you have been really good to forward me and attach me on those emails, I would just ask that you still put them in here because I get so many emails a day. I don't know where they are. I'm just going to be completely honest. So Google will only let you upload one document, print all those emails, scan them, and then save them and upload them as a file. Because when a parent is telling me my kid has an F in this class, but they have a 504, if I can pull that out, I can defend you. If I don't have it, I can't. So the more documentation, like I said, the better. And then the last thing, additional comments. If you want to add anything, you can. So that is the form. I am asking that you have all of these complete before you leave on the 17th of December at 4. I don't want you to have to do these over break. I know some of you may want to, if you feel like I want to finish my grades over Christmas break, contact me. We'll work something out. But I'm trying to not make you do work over break. So if you feel like that's too close, I need to do some and get back with you in January, talk to me. We can work something out. I've linked these to the staff index because ESL and SPED and 504s, we're going to try to do the same form. We're going to color code those. They're not going to be the same accommodations and modifications, so you have to read them. And so they'll be here, so you have access to those. I'll also post them on the Google Classroom. So that's it, unless you have any questions for me. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe. She got claps, I got boos. She deserves claps, though.
Yeah, just real fast. Mine's going to be really fast. I was just going to show you the form for ESL F justification. They're different colors, so you don't get confused. And oh, here it goes. Okay. So the ESL one is shorter than the one for 504s. So we don't have as many accommodations or legally binding testing accommodations are going to be the main thing, what you've done for the ESL student. So the very same thing, I'm not going to go through the form like Tara filled it out because it looks very similar, just the ESL one only has 3 sections. If you've tried to contact a parent, if you'll just upload the file just like for the 504, that's all I need. And then if I don't need it for any student that has exited. So if on elevation, if it says former L or has monitored year 1, like M1, M2, I don't need it for them. Only your progressing, emerging, and then the not proficient, 1, 2s, and 3s. Proficient, yes, that have not exited. Sorry, I'm on a big struggle bus today. So, if you have any questions, just let me know. If you're not sure if a student is ESL still, if you aren't sure where in elevation you can find that, just let me know. And it's just for Fs. So that's all I need it for. And if you have questions right now, I'll answer them, or email me, or come by the IF office. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Bonnie. Okay, a few other things. Dr. Gladden's not here today, but he wanted me to mention the importance about SPED conferences. It's important if you get an invitation to attend a SPED conference, we need you to attend. A general ed teacher is required at these meetings, and so if you feel, on the other hand, that, man, I've been just slammed, I've been invited multiple times in the past week or two, just reach out to him or to whoever's holding the conference so we could pick a different teacher. But again, it's just important to be there if you're invited to attend one of those SPED conferences. And we've had a little bit of an issue with attendance with that. Kind of just switching gears real fast, prime time and advisory. I've noticed a little bit of just kind of some looseness, and I want you to think about it for the moment from just safety and then also from the lens of Miss Dalton. I know that you love kids and you don't mind having them in your room. I mean, I get that, but it's really important to honor who's supposed to be in your room during advisory and prime time. I mean, prime time from the perspective that some of our teachers have been waiting weeks to get those kids, and then they choose, man, I don't want to go to math. I'd rather go to whatever. And that's really frustrating for the teacher who's been waiting for their turn to get that kid. And so again, check your roster. If they're not supposed to be there, send them on their way. I mean, we need to make sure kids are where they're supposed to be. Plus, again, think about Miss Dalton. Parent calls, check out their kid, and they're like, we don't know where they're at. That's not good. So again, just tightening that up a little bit. Just if they're on your roster, they need to be there. And if they're not, we need to make sure that we get them in the right direction. And if you don't know where that is, send them to the office and we'll figure that out. Failing grades. Just a couple of things about this. Again, Atara and Bonnie have talked about what to do for students with 504 and ESL. This one is just more of information. The first one is I shared a Google form if you have seniors that you're pretty sure they're not going to pass. Now, I'm not talking about seat time and all that stuff. I'm talking about they're just not passing. Our counselors have to do a lot of work between now and January. Plus, we also need to get these kids plugged into possibly night school or credit recovery. So if you can be sure and look at your seniors, again, if you're pretty sure they're not going to pass, fill out that form because we need to make sure they have the credits and the classes for graduation. I'm going to be sending out a similar form on December 13th, the Monday of finals, for 10th and 11th graders. Again, we've got a little more time with them, but again, it just helps our counselors instead of having to sort through hundreds of transcripts to find out what their grades are. And again, I put a note on here about contacting parents. Again, especially if it's a senior, but really any student. I've not mandated it this year. Just again, I know we've all been very busy, but I'm a firm believer that if a kid gets an F and they've never heard from a teacher or again, we just need to make sure we're doing our best to reach out. I know language can be an issue, phone numbers can be an issue, and again, the form will say, I've tried, just to, again, describe how you've tried, but again, just a couple of deadlines on failing grades. Semester tests. I think these are already put in the box, these checkout forms, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what the purpose is of the checkout form. The week of finals, and I'll share the schedule with you in a second, but the week of finals, we're going to have built-in time Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday afternoon, and Thursday afternoon. Now, we know we've got a lot of kids who they're doing great. I mean, they can go home, they can study, they're in good shape. And then we've got some kids, it's like, man, we really need you here. We got to pull you across that finish line. And so through advisory, we've got these checkout forms that you need to be sure to give to your advisees. And here's the purpose. Step one is they need to be taking these to each teacher. And you've got the power. If you're like, nope, I need you here, don't sign it. You can use that as leverage to get them to turn stuff in if that's what's needed, but you don't have to sign it. But let's say you do. Let's say that, Johnny's got an A and they're good shape. Then step two is for them to take it home to their parent. Because again, we want to make sure parents have said, you're good to leave school. That's a huge piece. We just don't want kids where the parents don't know where they're at. So you sign it, parent signs it, they bring it back to the advisor, and then you're going to hold on to that. Just so we're not slammed with 2,200 of these forms at once. And that way, if we need to find it, we can go to the advisor. It's easy. So again, these will be the deadline to get these back in. I think I put on there is like that 13th or that Friday before. But again, are there any questions on this checkout form? It's pretty basic. Again, you've got a lot of leverage here before you sign off on it. There's a question back there. Go ahead. Okay, good question about the language. I can have those translated. We could do that. Ms. Wolf can help me. And I can get Yelma to do Marshallese. So great question on that. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. Well, and that's kind of where I want to go next. We need to be really careful. And again, I know that it's sometimes hard because I'm going to give teachers a lot of flexibility with what the final looks like. For some of you, you may say, hey, a project is the best way to demonstrate your learning. And I'm going to respect that. That's your choice. For some, it's like, hey, no, I want to do a mock AP exam, or I want to do a comprehensive final. I mean, I want to give teachers autonomy to choose what that looks like, but we need to be really careful about not telling kids, oh, you don't have to come. I just think that, we need to honor that schedule, because here's what I'm concerned about is if we get too loose on it, the district may just say, no, we're not doing that anymore. So our message is we're having school all week. The only times that you can opt out is if your parents agree and you've earned that privilege. You can, check out Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoons. So that's a great question. And again, I wrote on here, everyone will give one. I'm going to let you choose what that looks like. In gradebook, by default, it's 20% of the grade. Again, I think it's good to honor that. If you've got a reason why we shouldn't, then let's talk. But again, by default, I think it's set up, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Davis, but it's 40, 40, 20. So that was a great question. Are there others about finals week?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say I don't sign, I want them to come to my classroom. When are they going to come? Are we going to have periods?
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. What we're going to do each afternoon, and I'm going to share it with you through the weekly memo, we're going to have on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday afternoon prime time. Okay, so we've created a priority system, and I appreciate Coach Temple and Miss Davis helping me, but we're going to have 3 55-minute sessions each afternoon. So it'll be just like we do for prime time. Certain days, these subjects will be a priority. One day electives will be a priority. So that way, you can pull students. So again, we'll have three rotations, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday each day. So a total of 9. Does that help answer that question? Okay. Other questions?
Teachers are going to pull the kids. Kids aren't going to be responsible for signing up, right?
Correct. Teachers will pull them and again communicate with the students. Say, look, I'm not signing this. You need to come, to my primetime session. The other piece about the primetime session, again, just think about it from even if we have just 700 kids here. During those sessions, if they're done in 10 minutes, which again, I can't imagine them being done in 10 minutes, you got to keep them. Please don't say, oh, you're done, and then we've got 400 kids roaming the halls. So again, that's one reason why we've gone to the 55 minutes, to allow more opportunity to pull kids, but please keep them. Yes, Ms. Marfeld.
If a kid rides a bus and they just need to be here,
Mm-hmm.
are they able to sign up? Are they able to sign up for their own time, or should they? How do we?
Where will they go, kind of thing? We'll probably have a holding. I would rather have them in a classroom, to be honest, than having them in the cafeteria. But I don't want to create a situation where it's like I can't get done what I need to do with the kids that I need in front of me, and now I've got to babysit. So we'll have a place in the cafeteria. But again, I'm a little bit hesitant on that because we need to make sure kids aren't just going, oh, I'll go hang out in the cafeteria. So that's where I'm a little bit nervous about opening that up, because that seems to be a hangout place during our regular primetime sessions. So, but kids can sign up. Again, it's that communication piece. If they're like, hey, Ms. Martfeld, can I, come to your session and read or do whatever, I'm totally good with that. Great questions.
If they don't come, will we hold them accountable?
Again, it's going to require that communication piece. The big thing is that if a kid chooses not to come, their grade's going to suffer by it. That should be the biggest, I'm holding you accountable. And I would use your leverage to say, look, I'm trying to help you pass this class. And if they say, forget it, I don't care, then, shame on them. I'd be curious the volume of kids that choose not to come. Again, we only have 15 seats in ISS, so I'd love to say, sure, we will, but, we only have 15 seats in ISS. So anyway, that's kind of another soapbox I could get on, but great questions. We will have one session on Thursday, and I need to talk to Ms. Davis, Thursday afternoon from 3 to 4, we're going to block that out, and the admin team and I will watch those students either in the cafeteria or the gym, because today we met with SREB, our focus team leaders, and I'd like to find some protected time during that finals week where we're not after school that focus teams can meet, and we'll be sharing which team you're on based on how you signed up, but again, that'll be one session, so I guess we'll only have 8 during those 3 days, but we'll send a little bit more out about that. Some deadlines, and I think I put this in the memo, but if I didn't, I just want to share them with you. We've run them through the leadership team. They seem to be very fair and doable. I'd hate for you to do a lot of grading. I really don't want you to do anything over the break other than be with your family, but these are the grades, these are the deadlines. That Monday, January 3rd at 4 o'clock will be when grades are due. Again, you can use your finals week to get a lot of that stuff done so you don't have to do things over the break. The 3rd is a day that we're still working on the PD. We've got a lot planned, so please don't procrastinate thinking, oh, I'll have all day on the 3rd to grade, because that probably won't happen. Grades will be due on the 3rd. Ms. Bennett will have grade verifications in the next day, and then you'll have until, I think that's Friday, to turn them back into her. So again, we just want to give teachers enough time to do that. So, okay. I don't want us to leave yet without talking a little bit about grades. I'm not a social media person. I really don't do it much, but I did find this on Instagram. Jerry Brooks, he's hilarious. He put this warning out for administrators. He's like, look, make sure you're aware of the high stress levels that teachers have the last 3 weeks of school leading up to Christmas break. Lighten their load, don't add to it. So I say all of that to say I read that and I agree with him, but I am still going to talk a little bit about grades, so forgive me. But it's more of just to keep it in front of us. I'm a firm believer about the power and the need of purposeful planning. Everybody in this room knows their content, there's no doubt. But with the challenges we have, the gaps of learning, with kids that have, just struggling reading levels, struggling proficiency levels, we might know our content, but are we putting together the best lessons every day to teach the content so that it's comprehensible? And that's again where we've talked about grades, having a goal, including reading, having well thought out activities, having discussion points in our lessons, a way to evaluate if they learned it or not, and then the supports. We're rich on supports, but are we rich on implementing them? So as we move forward on January 3rd, we're going to be dedicating part of that morning to going deep. And again, it's my commitment to make this work for you and for our kids. I'm committed to the fact that it's not going to be one more thing. It needs to be natural. Many of you have already figured it out. It's like, I know how to incorporate this already in my lesson. It's not one more thing I have to do. But again, I just want to challenge you, and we're in this journey together, so don't feel stressed. We're in this together about how we can implement grades, implement best practices, because again, I go back to, just our scores. I go back to what our kids are doing, and are we doing everything we can to help them? And I know we're committed to best practices. So we're going to talk more about that on January 3rd, but I just wanted to keep it in front of you, but not add one more thing. I'll follow Jerry Brooks. So do you have questions? Okay, if you are part of our Christmas party planning committee, if you'll stick around for a few minutes, I do have one thing that I need you to do. Please be sure and sign in. So that way we know you're here. And after you've done that, I hope you have a great evening. And thank you for working hard. Mr. McMullen, is that you? Go ahead.
Did everybody get a chance to get available this morning?
Woohoo!
First of all, it's our pleasure to be able to give you something to show that we appreciate you, especially in this very stressful time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We know that suddenly you become every student's center of attention because now they care about their grades, now they care about their attendance, now they care about passing, and now they want to talk to you about
Thank you all. And again, please make sure you've signed in. Have a great night and be safe going home. Thank you. Don't forget to stick around if you're part of the Christmas committee.